We're going to be talking about dancing today, yeah? Are you dancers, Martha?
I'm about as good a dancer as Mark is a singer.
Well, I was about
Oh,
to say I'm about as bad a dancer as I am a singer. I could do the Trump dance. He was doing it again today. YMCA, on he comes. Cringe.
yeah, we've seen that on the podcast. Yeah, I'm terrible. Too round-shouldered and a bit too side to side. I've seen it on the wedding videos.
It's all in the hips, apparently.
Well, yeah, well, there you go. My rusty hips ain't dancing no more. I'm James Matthews.
I'm Martha Kelner.
And I'm Mark Stone. And on day 101 of Trump 100, I've been at Donald Trump's Day 100 rally here in Detroit, Michigan.
We'll also be talking about how Jeff Bezos got on the wrong side of the president.
And Canada's re-elected Prime Minister squares up to Trump. There is a fight on the horizon, but for now, it's a dance-off. Mark, you're still in Detroit, Michigan, home of Motown and Motors. We both spent quite a bit of time over there in the past couple of years. It is a place, isn't it, with a story to tell. Add to it now day 100 of the Trump presidency, the day that Donald came calling, yeah?
He did indeed. The reason he, and therefore we, have been in this city, in this state so much over the course of the past, year or so now, in the lead up to the election itself, and now beyond it, is because Michigan is one of those key battleground states, the few states here in the country which decide the presidency. He won it back in November. It was Arab American voters, African American voters, the white blue collar workers, the working class automakers and the like that propelled him back to the White House. I checked with colleagues about this because this rally that I've just been to was his first rally since the inauguration 100 days ago. It doesn't feel like that because we've seen him
Yeah.
so much over the course of the past 100 days. It feels like he has been everywhere, but he hasn't actually done a rally of the traditional type where he really feels at home.
Yeah, I mean, he's a man who loves a rally. We saw that during the election campaign. Look, it's where Donald Trump comes alive, isn't it? Home turf, as he would see it, in front of the crowds. We've all seen a fair few of them. And of course, for him, the bigger the crowd, the better.
He is an extraordinary communicator in that forum, appealing to his base. And as you say, he loves a big rally, the bigger the better. Actually, as I say, this one was much smaller. Intimate is perhaps how the White House might describe it. A much smaller venue, a community college in Macomb County, blue collar workers. They're the ones that turned out for him in November, mainly white, working class. Auto workers, industry workers. What was interesting, though, just like 40 minutes before he was due to arrive, it was not that full. This was a community centre with a capacity of 4,000. They had only set up for about half that number coming. And by the time he took to the podium, we reckon that maybe 20% of the seats were not taken. It didn't bother Trump, though.
Thank you very much. Hello, Michigan. Hello. We love you, Michigan. We love you. We just had the biggest victory in Michigan. They said, sir, it's going to be hard. Well, we won it twice. We actually won it 3 times. You want to really know it?
He even thanked the crowds watching outside on big screens. The only problem with that is that there were no crowds outside and there were no big screens either.
He hit a lot of his favourite talking points from the campaign trail, didn't he? Heard him talking about the border, bloated government, woke schools, foreign countries ripping off the US. A lot of mentions of sleepy Joe Biden, of Kamala. There was also this bizarre social media video of migrants being deported, which was soundtracked by dramatic film-style music.
Yeah, I mean, bizarre, depending on where you are on that issue, but certainly not bizarre for the people in the room. And as the video was playing, I couldn't resist. There was one Trump supporter standing very near us, just the other side of the fence where we were, where the media were gathered, and I just sort of eased up to him, and I asked him, what his thoughts were watching it.
Does that make you feel uncomfortable watching that?
No, it does not. That's what should happen to anybody that comes into United States illegally or pushing drugs from another country. That's what's going to happen. And we got a lot of bad actors in this country.
But they've not been through any judicial process. There's been no
There
court.
doesn't need to be any. It's called treason.
A lot of people will feel uneasy, though, won't they, seeing that footage? And I thought it was quite on point, Trump's messaging on one bit around immigration. He mentioned that border crossings are down 99.9%. And that's something I think he would be wise to focus more on, because that's something that does have broad bipartisan support. No one wants to see the chaos at the border that we saw at some point during Joe Biden's presidency. Yet he keeps focusing on this deportation campaign, which is wildly unpopular. The idea of these men being sent to El Salvador without due process, of 3 American citizen children who have apparently been deported recently, including a 4-year-old who's going through treatment for stage 4 cancer at the moment. Those are the things that are making his immigration focus less popular than perhaps it has been in the past. It's traditionally an area of strength for Donald Trump. It has been for the past 8 years. Yet he's losing that support because of this focus on deportations, although clearly not in the room based on that guy that you were talking to, Mark.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. To fix America, Donald Trump had to convince people back in the election campaign that it was broken. And you know, honestly, Martha mentions that the southern border, what a mess that was in under the Biden presidency. So many people across America did not need convincing that America was broken. That is why his message hit home in the election campaign. You go to any major American city and look for decline, and you'll find it. You find it easily. You'll find communities left behind. Look for bureaucracy and waste. Well, goodness me, we all know that America loves bureaucracy. It loves spending way too much money. So you'll find that as well. Trump's message resonated. Common sense silenced by wokeism. Well, honestly, many people can relate to that as well. And as you say, immigration out of control. It certainly has been for so long. So many politicians, left, right, center, have been unable to grapple with it and to deal with it and to fix it. Now, legally or otherwise, whether it be constitution defying or not, Donald Trump is certainly having an impact on immigration. I think in just 100 days, and what are we now, 101 days, he's harnessed all of what I've just said into a package of change that feels to me like nothing short of a revolution.
Yeah, change packaged in the Donald Trump show, the eye-catching spectacle, which was great for the people who were in that arena with you, Mark. But there was discontent, there was protest. Is that right?
Anti-Trump protesters, a lot of them had their faces covered. We talked a bit about this yesterday. This idea that people are kind of worried to reveal their identity because they actually fear for what might happen to them now. I mean, that's a stark state of affairs for a country like America to be in right now. But really, really interesting conversations with some of the folk outside the community centre over the course of the day.
Just put into words how you're feeling 100 days into this presidency.
Can I swear?
I best not to.
Darn. It's absolutely screwed. I mean, my right? My IRA, which is like one of our retirement funds over here in the States, tanked within the last month. I've lost $3,000 out of 12. I have friends and family that are in fear of being deported. I have friends and family that are in fear of being in prison for just being who they are. And I don't want to raise my kids in a country that's mirroring Nazi Germany.
You know, you often hear the 1930s comparison, the Hitler comparison. But then people say that actually undermines your argument. The moment you bring up Hitler, you're undermining it because Trump isn't doing and doesn't say he will do what Hitler did.
As far as sending 6 million people to the gas chambers?
Right.
Neither did Hitler to begin with. He wasn't saying that. He first made people the enemy. And right now, Trump is making the immigrants the enemy. People that, in my opinion, have worked hard in this country, who came here to find a better life and a better life for their families. And this is how it starts.
Yeah, so that growing sense of fear, whether it be innocuous tattoos that might be associated with gang membership, free speech opinions penned on social media, or just the unwillingness that people now seem to have to chat about politics, people genuinely seem worried, very worried.
And James, a not entirely unexpected victory for Mark Carney where you are.
Yeah, Martha, that's right. The Canadian media, they called it around 10 p.m. and we had Carney on stage in the early hours. Carney, though, didn't get the majority he was after. He will lead a minority government, which, it's a challenge for him. He's got a big domestic agenda on his plate. But of course, foreign policy is what looms large.
It was the Donald what won it then, do you think?
I think it absolutely was, Martha. Yeah, he was front and center. He was the man on whom everybody had a view. I found that in Canada, whichever party they were going to vote for. And he was certainly the man front and center of Carney's campaign and Carney's victory speech.
President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never, ever happen. When I sit down with President Trump, it will be to discuss the future economic and security relationship between two sovereign nations.
It's fascinating how Carney has decided so directly to challenge Donald Trump in a way that so many other world leaders are not willing to do. They just don't want to risk it. Have they spoken, Carney and Trump, since he won?
Yeah, Mark, they have. They've spoken on the phone, and we've had the statement from the Canadian side on that one. Interesting key phrase in this. They've agreed, we're told, on the importance of working together, and here's the bit they don't want you to miss, as independents and sovereign nations. So there you go, Canada asserting its sovereignty, despite what Donald Trump might say. They are going to meet in person in the near future, we're told. And I do wonder, Trump had it in for Justin Trudeau, and he was quite happy on a regular basis to denigrate him. I think Carney's a different proposition altogether, particularly given the subject matter that they will clash on: finance, the economy. Carney's the expert. So I do wonder, the dynamic between that pair will be fascinating to watch.
You just wonder whether because Trump is so contradictory, is so unpredictable, that when the Oval Office moment does happen between them, actually Trump will be all, smiles and hugs, just to off-step Carney. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. But can we talk dad dancing now?
We certainly can.
Listen, we were in this victory speech. We were kind of wrapping up, and there was a band on stage, really loud, a kind of knot of people to one corner. I must confess, I didn't see in the middle of that was Mark Carney, having delivered his speech, having won the election, throwing shapes. Absolute, dad dancing from the father of the nation. But interestingly, he had in this group a pool TV camera, all by arrangement. I mean, and looking at the pictures, it's everything short of Mark Carney, the pop video. And for me, I think he's trolling Donald Trump. Carney's a man who needs, charisma anyway. I think he's probably sees himself in a charisma contest with Donald Trump. Mr. YMCA, we've seen the Donald Trump dance. Carney, to be fair to him, actually kind of pulls it off. He was no embarrassment. For me, he scored a couple of points there. What do you think?
I'm not sure whether he pulled it off. That's not quite how I'd describe it. I think the bar was set very low for him.
Yeah, well, that's an insult to 60-year-old men, Martha.
One terrible dad dancer says another terrible dad dancer pulled it off. There we go.
Yeah,
Anyway,
hands up, guilty, Your Honour.
let's move on. Martha, Amazon, tell us what's been happening there.
Yeah, this is an interesting story. There was a report today, first on Punchbowl News, that Amazon was considering displaying US tariff costs next to products which are listed on its site. Now, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt was asked about this in her press briefing by a journalist who suggested that this would be crystal clear proof, in his words, that it is the American consumer paying for these Trumpian policies. Leavitt then responded to this, saying that this was a hostile and political act by Amazon. She then holds up this report from Reuters back in 2021, very clearly with a picture of Jeff Bezos accusing Amazon of partnering with a Chinese propaganda arm. Apparently, President Trump, her boss, was similarly unimpressed. He, according to reports, spun into a rage and immediately called Jeff Bezos, got him on the phone. He's, of course, the owner of Amazon, the third richest man of the world. He also donated $1 million, remember, to Donald Trump's inauguration fund. Trump let loose, apparently, on Bezos, gave him a big telling off. And I guess this shows perhaps how cowardly Jeff Bezos is, how much Donald Trump has him bent over a barrel.
Yeah, Martha, within hours of that Trump call, Amazon, they publicly downplayed the scope of the plan, didn't they? And then announced it had been scrapped entirely. An Amazon spokesperson said this was never approved and is not going to happen.
Remember that if Amazon was to have done this, it entirely, fundamentally undermines the Trump administration argument that it is not the American consumer that pays for the tariffs. Their argument is that the other country, the country from where the goods came from, they pay the tariff. But as economists have been saying repeatedly, that is not the case. That the price always gets passed on to the consumer, and that is what Amazon apparently planned to show.
Yeah, Trump's been claiming, hasn't he, that China is going to eat the cost of these tariffs. And some of his words have gone viral on Chinese social media sites, with people laughing off the idea that the Chinese are going to absorb the cost of these prices. This is what Trump said when he was asked about this story before he headed off to Michigan.
Jeff Bezos was very nice. He was terrific. He solved the problem very quickly. And he did the right thing, and he's a good guy.
And in terms of the overall, it does raise ethical concerns. It's not the first time we've seen a tech bro bending the knee to Donald Trump, changing the way that they do their business to channel cash his way. Companies for whom, there are all sorts of benefits in being close to a supportive president, not least regulation.
Yeah, the oligarchy were queuing up, weren't they, to meet Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago before the election. Yet now they're all losing a ton of money because of his policies. I was reading that Elon Musk has lost more than 100 billion since Trump became president. Bezos lost more than 30 billion. Mark Zuckerberg more than 20 billion. So this is costing them financially, and it's making them look fools at times.
Now, here's a question. How long do you think Donald Trump has been speaking for continuously, publicly, since he became president?
I know it's a lot because I've been listening to quite a lot of it.
The answer is 1 day and 22 hours if you round it up.
I feel like he's been speaking for longer than that. Well, it's probably just because we've been in it. We've been in the tumble dryer with him.
Yeah, 1 year and 22 hours.
Right.
How long do you reckon we've been speaking for?
A grand total of 1 day, 3 hours and 33 minutes. So we're slacking compared to the president.
Good
we need
God.
to pull our socks up.
Yeah, we need to try harder. But anyway, that's it for today's episode of Trump 100. Do get in touch with your thoughts on what we've been talking about or questions you've got for us, as always. The email is trump100@sky.uk.
And you can help us spread the word that we're continuing past 100 days by following the podcast wherever you're listening, writing up a review, or just telling a friend.
And we will see you tomorrow for another day of Trump 100.
See you then.
Bye-bye.